what happened in California is just another example of protesters becoming criminals. And they've been emboldened by even members of Congress who compare ICE to Nazis and racists and terrorists. I mean, the rhetoric is so high, and I said 2 months ago, it's going to end up with a loss of life. And we had one the other day in Texas. And it's not over. I mean, the rhetoric has to end.
Well, it's the Democrat Party. They're bringing back the Confederate States of America. They're going to exhume Jefferson Davis and use his DNA to build a new leader. You know, genetics. Remember genetics? The Democrat Party has rejected genetics. They don't know how many genders there are. We got a Supreme Court justice. Boy, she's a piece of work. She's back in the news again today. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Man, oh man. Where do they find them? Well, usually at Ivy League schools. That's where they, after having been thoroughly brainwashed. Yeah, and the Democrats, they're a violent political party. They should probably be banned because they're fascists. Everybody, all Republicans should call them Nazis and fascists every time they talk about the Democrats, just because, you know. Adolf Hitler and the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, their boy Joseph Goebbels. A lie told once remains a lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth. If that doesn't define the Democratic Party, then what does? And I want to get to some of that, and then I want to get to Alan Dershowitz, the law professor emeritus from Harvard University. He used to be a good school, as I understand it, some time ago. It was supposed to be a pretty good college. That was in the 1600s, I think. It was a good college. Hasn't been for a long time. Barack Obama went there. He went to law school there. And Alan Dershowitz, never impressed with Barack Obama as a law student. He was a student, you know, of course, of Alan Dershowitz, who's been there forever as a law professor at Harvard. Not impressed, very impressed with Ted Cruz. And he's a lifelong Democrat and a self-described liberal, Dershowitz is. But wait till you hear what Dershowitz had to say. Maybe you've seen it. We've got to talk about that. He says he knows there is a list, a Jeffrey Epstein list, that he's seen many of the names on the Jeffrey Epstein list, and then he gives his opinion as to why the names are not being made public. I've got that coming up. But right now, let's get back to the violent criminal enterprise that is the Democrat Party. So many of them self-immolate, so many suicide attacks, violent, murderous suicide attacks by Democrats, shooting members of Congress, shooting Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. The 1-year anniversary of Donald Trump being shot through the ear, grazing his head in Butler, Pennsylvania. 1-year anniversary is the day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary. A lot has happened since then. Boy, a lot has happened. And the Democrat Party has become even more violent since then. Of course, a year ago, President Trump was running for office. He was not president 1 year ago. Democrats might be listening. They don't know things like that. Calendars confuse them. They reject the Gregorian calendar. They're very odd. But let's go to let's go to soundbite number one. It's 30 seconds long. It's the ICE raiding marijuana fields in Southern California, north of Los Angeles, south of Santa Barbara, in Camarillo and similar areas. And when the ICE raid began, now it's illegal to hire illegal aliens to work on your farm, but the farms are marijuana farms. They're marijuana farms. This is Democrat Party America, right? So they're growing fields of marijuana. Where no matter how you feel about that, it's illegal to hire illegal aliens. And immigration law is something the Democrat Party rejects because they don't believe in borders. It's just an imaginary line drawn in the sand, and then they take fentanyl and fall out of the chair and die, you know, like their hero, George Floyd. We should get some fentanyl in prison to their hero, Luigi Mangione, who murdered a CEO on the sidewalk of New York, and it was applauded by the Democrat Party. It's remarkable. But they're not exactly the party of law and order, are they? They're the party of crime and arson and chaos and firebombing, and you know how they are. They're really something. So this is what it sounded like in California yesterday with ICE raids going on at the marijuana fields where they found 10 illegal alien children being used as labor. It's illegal on 5 different levels, and the Democrats applaud it, and they scream at you if you point it out. And 8 of the 10 children were unaccompanied. That means there are no adults, no parents, no. And they're like, oh, you're tearing the families apart. Well, apparently the illegal alien marijuana field harvest is tearing the families apart because there were no parents for 8 of the 10 kids. Okay, right? That's a big percentage there. But this is what it sounded like. Democrats love to make noise and scream and shriek and pretend that they care about anything real. They're violent. Don't run, stay calm. Here, we've got some churritos for you.
They took your mom?
And that's the Democrat Party made this. The Democrat Party does this. And then when you go to enforce the law, then they shoot law enforcement officers because yesterday, some illegal alien gang member probably, but an illegal alien with a handgun opened fire on the federal agents. And fortunately, no one was murdered in that particular instance. But the cross-dressing Democrat mob in Texas the other day shot one federal agent through the neck at a different location in Texas. Another crazy Democrat attacked law enforcement, shot one law enforcement officer through the knee and had to be gunned down. He was wearing body armor and had a rifle and had to be shot in the head, had to go for a headshot because, like their boy James Crooks in Butler, Pennsylvania, who shot Trump through the ear 1 year ago, the day after tomorrow will be 1 year since that happened. I remember my best girl and I were down on the Georgetown waterfront having a cool beverage when we got the news, started getting bombarded with texts and stuff. A Democrat next to us at the bar expressed his disappointment that Trump hadn't been killed because the Democrat Party, they're the party of the first American Civil War, as it's now called. In Los Angeles, they have a mayor named Karen Bass, also known as Big Mouth Bass. Big Mouth, that's what she's known as in many circles. Big Mouth Bass. And she's pro-crime, pro-illegal alien gang member, anti-sovereignty, anti-American, and anti-law enforcement because she's what we call a Democrat. That's a euphemism, honestly. And Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, former Democrat member of the House of Representatives.
Walking down the street, a car will pull up, no license plate. Men will jump out, completely masked, pull guns on whoever it is, and take them away.
No license plate, masked. She's anti-law enforcement. If the federal law enforcement are wearing masks, it's something they picked up from the law enforcement in Mexico and in Latin American hellholes that people are fleeing, and amazing stuff. They have to do it to protect their lives from the cartels and the drug gangs and from the Democrat Party because, their families, their children, their wives, their homes, and their own lives are in danger. Isn't it amazing? Just something to see. Now, the head of ICE, the head of the agency, Todd Lyons, he's having none of this, and Karen Bass is full of hooey.
They say that ICE agents, they're not properly marked. You see them in their tactical gear, in their vest, where you blatantly see FBI, ATF, ICE, HSI, ERO, whoever's out with us. So the mayor's claims are just totally false, and what she's doing is making people afraid of us.
Right, and they're inciting fear, and what they're doing is inciting hatred when they know that their people are already shooting federal law enforcement. They're going to fire on Fort Sumter any day now. And the media, they're having nothing to do with the truth. Todd Lyons.
In November of last year, we weren't wearing masks. ICE agents weren't wearing masks because they weren't afraid of their information being doxxed, their photos taken, addresses posted. But as you've seen the steady increase of when we started doing our law enforcement mission, that's when you saw, these left-wing activists, these groups start posting the names, faces of ICE agents, officers, and their families.
Right. So a couple of years ago, before the Democrats were organizing and actively targeting the ICE agents, federal law enforcement, and shooting them as they've done in another suicide attack in Texas earlier this week, attacking the police, trying to murder the police in a suicide attack. And the Democrat Party, they're not talking about that, are they? Boy, President Trump was asked about federal law enforcement wearing masks yesterday, and President Trump knows all about it. He clearly got a good briefing on it, knows all the details.
These officers are doing a tremendous job. They're great patriots. If you expose them because of, statements like have been made by Democrats and others on the left, usually, mostly, I think probably exclusively, you put them in great danger, tremendous danger.
Yeah, and the Democrats know that. Every filthy, stinking Confederate knows that. They should be wearing gray uniforms and carrying pointed sticks because they're not allowed to own guns. Registered Democrats shouldn't be allowed to own firearms anymore. President Trump, and he points out, I talked about this yesterday as well, at Columbia University and other Ivy League campuses where they're chanting from the river to the sea and kill them all and, Palestine will be free, which is genocidal, Nazi-style, fascist hatred of the Jewish people, calling for their Democrat mayoral candidate in New York, calling for global intifada against the Jews. And the Democrats are all in bed with him. Isn't it great? But President Trump, and I said yesterday, they were all wearing masks on these anti-Semitic, Nazi-like rallies, right? And President Trump knows about that, too.
And it's sort of funny when people picket in front of Columbia, in front of Harvard, and they have masks on, more than masks. I mean, you can't see anything. Nobody complains about that. But when a patriot who works for ICE or Border Patrol puts a mask on so that they won't recognize him and his family, so they can lead a little bit of a normal life after having worked so hard and so dangerously, there's a problem with that.
The Democrats are inciting violence against law enforcement, and there's been a good deal of violence, a great deal of violence against law enforcement, including shooting them in more than one instance just this week, shooting at them again yesterday in Southern California. I think that shooting was in Camarillo, where arrests of illegal aliens and rescuing 10 children, 8 of whom who had no parental supervision or guidance of any kind, working as child slave labor in the fields of Southern California. And the governor of California, a Democrat, and the mayor of Los Angeles, a Democrat, they're out there supporting the slavery, the child abuse, because, they're the party of Jefferson Davis. And the masks, they're very, very, oh, no, only, and the Democrats are going around saying this, only bad guys wear masks.
If Robin and I were to remove our masks, the secret of our true identities would be revealed.
Completely destroying their value as ex-crime fighters.
Sure, ma'am. Not even Commissioner Gordon and myself know who they really are.
Womp, womp, womp. That. Just amazing. Our Democrat Party. Why would they want agents to be in more danger, knowing that they're putting them in more danger? Well, you got to keep in mind, those are the same people that are shooting federal agents across the country. At what point, what do the Democrats have to do? Firebombing the Jewish governor's mansion in Pennsylvania during Passover, just after the Seder dinner with the family sleeping upstairs. At what point do we say that the Democrat Party is like an enemy force, that they are waging civil war inside our borders? The Democrat Party. And I have Alan Dershowitz coming up, too, on the Jeffrey Epstein list. This is fascinating. You know that this country was built on hard work and on grit. Whether you're standing long hours every day, running errands, chasing the kids, doing your job, just doing your part to keep the world turning on its axis, you shouldn't have to deal with fatigue and discomfort, pain, foot pain. That's where G-Defy shoes come in. G-Defy shoes are built with a patented technology called VersaShock. Nobody else has it. The Federal Trade Commission has authorized G-Defy to tell you that these shoes do help to relieve minor occasional pain associated with walking, running, and prolonged periods of standing. G-Defy shoes help to absorb harmful shock. They align your body, improve your biomechanics, and return energy with every step that you take. They sent my best girl a pair. They sent me a pair. We walk around the city. Your arches feel better after a long walk. Now, you can get 50% off your order of $120 or more right now by texting Chris to 91888. Or you can go to Al Gore's Amazing Internet to gdefy.com and use the code Chris. That's a good deal. With G-Defy's 60-day risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Message and data rates apply. Yes, sir. Yeah, I've got Alan Dershowitz coming up on the Jeffrey Epstein list, right? What would he know about it? Well, I've got that coming up. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Let us go to the telephones. Let's go to Charlie, calling from DeLand, Florida. Charles, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Mr. Plant, happy Friday, everybody.
Happy.
I was happy. So I signed up when President Trump first got elected. He has a phone number that he texts out daily things that he's done. And on WhiteHouse.gov, if you look on the website, he has a batch of the criminals that have been shooting at ICE agents, and all of them are all illegal aliens. And yesterday you were, in the other day, you've been playing all the shooting that's been going on around the country at these cities. And I thought that they made bullets and weapons illegal in these cities. How are they shooting?
Yeah, they had. Yeah, I'm sure, like in Camarillo yesterday, guy shooting at federal agents there while ICE was arresting people. Looks like he's an illegal alien with an illegal gun. But then in Texas, Charlie, that we had, looks like 12 people attacked the ICE detention facility there, shot one ICE person through the neck. They're still looking for a 12th guy who shot at agents with AR-15 rifle, right? And they've got his name. He's a former Marine Corps reservist, Benjamin Hanil Song, right? You saw that. And they've arrested 11 and still looking for a 12th. And they're all lefties, several of them transgender people, Charlie.
That's frightening. I'm a former Marine. I couldn't imagine having them coming at me.
I got to tell you, God bless you, Charlie. I'm saluting you, buddy. Yeah, the Democrats. Oh, we're back. Hey, we're back. Now, the famous and occasionally notorious Harvard law professor emeritus, Alan Dershowitz. All of my lifetime, he's one of the top 3 probably best-known lawyers in the United States of America, and certainly law professors in the United States of America. Alan Dershowitz. He was on O.J. Simpson's Dream Team. And you may remember O.J. Simpson was found not guilty. Remember that? That was funny. O.J., Democrat. But that's, the Democrat Party. They got a long history of not very good things. But Alan Dershowitz, who was once accused of sexual misconduct himself long ago, and he, being the snappy lawyer that he is, fought and exonerated himself, found the people to exonerate him, and I believe that he really was cleared of the false charges. But Alan Dershowitz has known a lot of people, and he's been around a long time. He has been shunned by the liberal commune on Martha's Vineyard and beyond, where he has lived, the island off of the coast of Massachusetts, Gesundheit. It's a part of Massachusetts, of course, off of Cape Cod. You may remember a small number of illegal aliens went there for a minute, and the Democrats rounded them all up with the National Guard and sent them to be imprisoned at a military base on Cape Cod. We don't know if they killed them all or not, but it wouldn't be out of the question because they're the left. They're the left. But in any case, Alan Dershowitz, bombshell. Here's Newsweek magazine, and I love this. Ex-Trump lawyers Epstein list, bombshell resurfaces. I know the names. I'm sorry, ex-Trump lawyer? Ex-Trump lawyers Epstein list, bombshell resurfaces. I know the names. They're describing Alan Dershowitz. You might as well say ex-OJ lawyer. That Alan Dershowitz is an ex-Trump lawyer? Well, he's a lawyer. An interview in which, and look at Newsweek magazine flogging this, an interview in which one of Donald Trump's former lawyers, he's represented thousands of people, claimed he knew the names of people on a so-called Jeffrey Epstein list has resurfaced. Now, listen, an interview in which Alan Dershowitz claimed that he knew the names of people on a so-called Jeffrey Epstein list has resurfaced, speaking on the Sean Spicer show in March. It's now July. Alan Dershowitz, a longtime criminal defense attorney, said he knew the names of individuals referenced in confidential Epstein files and claimed those names are being deliberately withheld. Now, again, got to keep this in mind, and Sean Epstein is, got all the names in front of me at once. Sean Spicer, who's a good guy, and we know each other from Newsmax a little bit, and I like Sean. He's a nice guy. Speaking on the Sean Spicer show in March, months ago now, Alan Dershowitz, longtime criminal defense attorney and professor emeritus, Harvard University, said he knew the names of individuals referenced in the confidential Jeffrey Epstein files and said the names are being deliberately withheld. Now, again, this is not a yesterday interview or a day before yesterday interview. It's from March. That's a different month. Is that like anybody's Pride Month or anything like that? Democrats turn March into any kind of a political month. You know how they politicize everything from the weather to gender to everything because they're all, I think, all mentally ill at this point. So on Thursday, that's yesterday, Sean Spicer shared the interview on X, and Newsweek wants to note, formerly known as Twitter, in case your brain doesn't work very well. In light of renewed interest in the case, it's racked up 1.5 million views, Newsweek magazine says at the time of this writing. Newsweek has contacted Dershowitz by email asking him to comment on the story, but he apparently has not commented yet. But I want to play this for you. Sean Spicer talking to, I wouldn't call him Trump lawyer. I would call him Harvard law professor emeritus. You might call him O.J. Simpson lawyer. That was a bigger case than whatever case Dershowitz worked with Donald Trump on. Probably had to do with real estate, but never mind that. The Trump administration has ordered a review of the Jeffrey Epstein case, said it would publish names and evidence about associates of Jeffrey Epstein, a wealthy financier who died by suicide, allegedly, in his jail cell in August of 2019. Boy, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? Weeks after his arrest on sex trafficking charges. However, a memo by the Department of Justice and the FBI now states there is no client list and there will be no more charges. No other people charged. This has triggered a backlash among those who want transparency about Epstein, apparently not including Newsweek magazine. So Dershowitz, who represented Epstein, now why isn't he listed in the headline as an Epstein lawyer then, said in March, I know the names of the individuals. Now let me play for you what Alan Dershowitz said again months ago now in March, and he's apparently not eager to find more cameras to talk to and more news shows to go on to talk about this because the Democrat Party has turned our country into such a beephole, such a cesspool that nobody wants to step into the public spotlight anymore, which is why people like John Fetterman are elected to the U.S. Senate, because nobody in their right mind wants to be in the public eye, much less part of politics. And the Democrat Party is like rectal what is it called? Colorectal cancer. I apologize for all you medical practitioners out there. Let's play the sound bites of Dershowitz, because I think Alan Dershowitz, lifelong Democrat, and proud of it, and he's been rejected and crushed by his Democrat lifelong pals in Massachusetts and at Harvard and on Martha's Vineyard, where he's not invited to any of the cool kids' birthday parties anymore, anything like that. Alan Dershowitz.
This is not an opinion. This is a fact. I have seen, remember, I was accused falsely, and they have seen, and ultimately I was completely cleared. The woman admitted that she may have mistook me for somebody else and withdrew all of her lawsuits. And so from day one, from the day I was accused, I said I want every document out because I knew every document would prove I was innocent. So let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. And they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them. But I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them. And that's wrong.
I believe him. I hear Sean Spicer interrupt him there at that key moment. That's, he hasn't been interviewing people for 40 years. He's you got to let him talk, Sean. Let him talk. I like Sean. Sean's a good guy. And he's funny, too. But Dershowitz was delivering the soundbite. Let him deliver it. And Dershowitz wants to jump in and say, of course, I was accused, and I was exonerated, and she withdrew everything, and the lawsuits went away. Apparently, it's a sensitive subject for Alan Dershowitz. Isn't that amazing? And Sean Spicer on the Sean Spicer Show talking to Alan Dershowitz in March.
Are these politicians, business leaders, both?
They're everything. And let me tell you, a lot of them are, at least one of them is somebody who was accused. Others are accusers. And the judges have said, if somebody calls themselves a victim, we're not going to give any information about them. But they may not be victims. They may be perpetrators. So we don't have information about false accusers. And we know there have been many false accusers who have accused innocent people for money. And those records are being deliberately, willfully suppressed. And they shouldn't be suppressed.
Now, there was something very important in what Alan Dershowitz said there, law professor emeritus, Harvard University, a smart man, an articulate man. Is that racist to say that a Jewish guy is articulate? But I noted something at the beginning of the soundbite that I haven't seen anyone else focus on, and this could be key. Again, someone who uses the English language deliberately. And he said, I believe he knows the name of one, and the others are accusers. And the Department of Justice has said, we're not going to release the names of accusers so the news media can, camp outside their parents' houses and ruin their worlds or whatever they do. But listen carefully to what Dershowitz said.
At least one of them is somebody who was accused. Others are accusers.
At least one of them. So he's saying he's got one name of accused, at least. The others, the names that he's aware of, are accusers. Well, that means we're talking about one person who might be a bad guy and possibly more. But I've got to say, if I'm Congressman Comer, I'm thinking about issuing a subpoena for Alan Dershowitz, giving him immunity, and asking him to, well, with a subpoena, it's not really an ask, it's an order, to appear before a congressional committee and answer questions. That's what I think. But the key may be at least one, right? The others are accusers. But let's hear the name. I want to hear the name. Don't you want to hear the name? I want to hear who he's talking about, at least one.
I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them. But I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know.
I know the names. That was plural. And then the follow-up question from Sean Spicer. Remember follow-up questions? I like follow-up questions. I miss follow-up questions. But Dershowitz talking about how he's all about total transparency, and I believe him. And he said, I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them. But I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I, hand to God, he said, I know the names of people, that names, plural, people, plural, whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them, plural. And then he says, and that's wrong, and he says, he goes on to say, at least one.
A lot of them are, at least one of them is somebody who was accused. Others are accusers.
Well, see, that's others are accusers. And again, it's like when Pam Bondi was asked by John Roberts of Fox News months ago. I think that was in February, and asked by John Roberts, well, you said the names on the Epstein list would be released. When are they going to be released? And she gave an answer. And again, Dershowitz, not an inarticulate man, said something that indicates plural, multiple people accused. And then when he revises and extends his remarks, as they do on Capitol Hill, he makes it sound like, well, one and maybe more than one. And that's kind of odd. But you may remember the Attorney General of the United States, who's taken a beating. And I've got to say, this has been very badly handled by the Justice Department, by Pam Bondi, and for that matter, by the FBI. This whole rollout of the Jeffrey Epstein thing has been very badly handled. Pam Bondi with John Roberts on Fox News in February.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. Okay, but when you review them, are you reviewing it so it can be released? Because the idea is not, you've reviewed them and now we're satisfied. No, you review them and then you release them to the public because it's a big, big deal, right? And what Pam Bondi said created a great deal of trouble for her.
That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
At the direction of the president, there is a directive from the president, but not at the directive from the president. The English language is in jeopardy as we speak. I'd like to keep it alive. Keep hope alive.
It's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, and look, and I believe her on that. I do, and I don't think her answer, the first answer to John Roberts, was clumsy or awkward or inappropriate or wrong. But when you're at a job like that, you got to be careful with your use of language, don't you? Yes, you do. Womp, womp, womp. I'm telling you. Yeah, and where are these? It's a lot going on in the world. And the Democrats are causing so much chaos, so much anarchy. Epstein, of course, a Democrat. And what was he? A money manager. He managed other people's money so much that he had his own jet and his own island and the rest we know. You know that the big wireless companies are pulling one over on all of us. It's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. I switched consumer cellular. I was taking great pictures of the full moon last night with my new camera from Consumer Cellular. Have you seen that? It's amazing. Great moon last night. It'll be great again tonight, I'm sure. But now with Consumer Cellular, I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide big wireless coverage, but without the big wireless cost at the end of every month. It's not just about saving money on my bill at the end of the month, also about not being used and abused by these big cell phone companies. Do you even know how much data you use every month? Probably not. Most people over 50 use less than 8 gigs of data in a month. Kids, they use tons and tons of data. But you know what the phone companies do? They push you into a big, expensive plan to help you offset the cost of what 19-year-olds are using in the way of data. Now, At Consumer Cellular, they set me up with a service and a phone to try. It was easy to switch, just amazing. You call, you talk to an actual human being based right here in the United States, not a robot in the Philippines. Real human beings. Incredibly helpful. It only takes about 20 minutes to make the switch. Save you a lot of money every month and frustration, and you're not being used and abused. So give them a call today and ask all the questions you have. Make the switch. Call 800-760-0702. That's 800-760-0702. Yeah, so the Dersh, what did the Dersh actually say? Shouldn't he be on TV clarifying? Well, he's not. I think maybe a subpoena from Congressman Comer might be in order. All right. Let's Michael, let's take another phone call on this great American Friday. Let's go to Jim, calling from Durwood, Maryland. Jimmy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Chris. I'm just wondering, these victims, the girls that were victims of Epstein, did they all have their memories wiped that they can't point to their abusers? What happened there? I guess I missed something.
That's a fair question. Yeah, why aren't the people that were used and abused and their families coming forward and sounding the alarm? And that's what you're wondering.
Yeah, even, without revealing that to the public, just, so that a list could be created if one does not already exist. I mean, I don't get it.
You're not alone, and it is a very legitimate question. You'd think that if you or someone that you know, a family member, were abused on Epstein Island by famous politicians or Hollywood figures or members of the royal family who somehow turned out to be heterosexual, that you'd want to come forward and sound the alarm, have a press conference, get a big crazy woman lawyer. But that's not happening. Why? Good question.